writing an essay pretty much starts with the essay question, and it's about spotting the right keywords and actually working out what the question is actually asking you to do, which in most subjects could be either justify, discuss, critically assess, or even explain. With the explain questions, what you're really expecting to be doing is to actually provide a description, if you need to explain, which is in quite a lot of detail. With justify, discuss, and critically assess, what you are asked to do is to really engage in a debate or a full-on discussion where you're actually challenging and providing supportive argument for the question that is set for you. So once you have worked out the keyword in your question, what you then need to do is to actually identify the subject. So depending on what subject you are taking for your A-levels, what you might find is there might be a focus on the key person, a focus on the key event, possibly a focus on the scene, and in some subjects there might also be a key focus on the key concept. So you need to ensure that throughout everything that you're actually writing, everything that you discuss, everything that you explain, everything that you justify actually links back straight to any of those. So either your person, the event, the scene, or the concept.
Okay, so I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how to plan longer assignments, maybe if you've got a coursework essay that you're trying to put together, or something that's going to take a substantial amount of time. So, really important before you begin that you're clear about the word count that you've got for the assignment. Your planning is going to be key to making sure that you can stick to that word count. So, once you have done your research and you've done your reading, you can start planning your essay. Jot down some of your ideas, making sure that you're really clear on the key points that you want to make in your essay, and also on the best bits of evidence that you've found that are going to support those points. When you've done that, you should be able to start working out a structure to your essay. When you've worked out the main points that you want to make, you can actually start to work out how many words you have got in order to make each point. So if you've got a 2,000 word essay and you have got 3 paragraphs, you've got to take out some words for your introduction and your conclusion. So that might leave you about 1,500 words. So you've got then 500 words to work on each of your 3 sections. If you work that out from the start and you make sure that you stick to it section by section, it should make sure that you don't go way over your word count and then you haven't got a massive amounts of cutting down to do. As you're planning each of your sections, be really clear about the point you're trying to get across. Remember, it's not just about the information that you've gathered, it's about making a point that's going to help you answer the question. So, introduction. A really crucial part of your essay, because what you're actually doing with your introduction is almost providing the examiner or your teacher with what might resemble a synopsis. So it's pretty much giving them an idea about what you are going to be writing about to start off with and what the focus of your essay is. So one of the key things you need to do is to really sum up your argument, your initial argument, in quite a short way. So 1 or 2 sentences is usually enough. You need to also make sure that you actually set the scene. And in order to set the scene, what you need to do is to answer that question immediately. Another key thing is that examiners do hate surprises. So what they would like you to do is to actually let them know what you're going to be doing. So some students might decide that they will signpost key events, or they might signpost key scenes, and in some contexts, depending on what subject you're doing, you may also decide to signpost some of the key theories that you're going to be discussing. So you need to make sure that your intro is waffle-free. The whole basic structure of a good paragraph is to have that first sentence that makes a clear analytical point. The rest of the paragraph is about backing up that point and making it as convincing as possible. So for the rest of the paragraph, you're going to be putting in your key evidence and also explaining that evidence. This is often what students forget. You explain how that evidence actually supports the point you're trying to make. You can include counter evidence as well, and maybe you could put forward some ideas as to why that counter evidence isn't convincing. That will then be a really well balanced paragraph that's going to really support the analytical point you want to make. One of the best ways to check how clear your essay is to actually read it out loud, preferably to somebody else. If you can find a willing victim and you can get them to sit down for a while and let them listen to your essay. Maybe do it paragraph by paragraph. You could even ask them whether they could understand your key point and your key evidence. If they're able to do that, then it shows that your essay is clear. Okay, so when you're using source material within an essay, you might want to quote from it directly. If you do that, make sure you're putting it in quote marks so it's really clear where the information is coming from. Try not to use information without considering its use. And usually the first time you mention a bit of source material, you might want to say something on why you think this particular source is useful to tell you about this topic. Does it come from an expert in the field? Does it come from somebody who has a wide experience of what you're writing about? Does it come from somebody who has done a lot of research? Does it corroborate with other source material that you've looked at? And you don't need to spend ages talking about this, but just a brief reference as to why you think a source is accurate the first time you use a source can be really useful. If you particularly agree with a source or disagree with it, you might also want to do this in the conclusion of your essay and explain why you found that source so useful in particular. Another way to really analyse and evaluate how reliable your source information is to use lots of different sources on the same topic. You might find that some of the information repeats itself, but actually that makes it much more likely to be reliable. Sometimes reading different sources from different points of view and cross-referencing their information can really help you be clear on how valuable they are and how reliable they are.
So the first thing you need to do is you need to start by actually repeating your key argument in 1 or 2 sentences. So it's pretty much reminding the examiner, reminding your teacher about what you were actually writing about so that they know what you're summarising. So end with a bang. So it's about leaving a lasting impression on the examiners or your teachers. So it's providing them with a real demonstration that you really have engaged with the essay you've written and that you yourself have used your imagination, your wider knowledge in order to come out with a critical conclusion. In some subjects, one of the good things that you could also do is to actually provide a way forward. So suggest a way in which we could move things positively or actually provide alternatives that could actually be used in order to answer that question. So you need to make sure, again, similarly to your introduction, that you don't spend too much time waffling, because it's really about finishing it off short and sweet again. So provide your final conclusion, final statement, and then you are pretty much done.